Happy 2021. This is Jay Watts with Uber Jeep AZ. Today, we're about to change out the spark plugs on this. I think I probably ran about 60,000 miles on my last plugs. It's probably not time to change it. I think they go up to 90,000, but I change mine a lot just because I can. And a lot of times the little small nodes on the top of your spark plug, they take a lot of heat. So the more and the more heat they take, the weaker they get. I've changed spark plugs on cars before when that thing's not even on there and you get a misfire code. So I'm gonna change this before that little piece gets too weak and I get a misfire code. I'll show you the piece I'm talking about. Here's the new spark plugs for my Jeep. This is the piece I'm talking about right here. This piece takes a lot of heat, takes a lot of firing action. Over time it becomes really weak and it gets brittle and it can break off and end up inside of your engine. I mean, it won't make it past a catalytic converter, but it can still scratch a lot of stuff around on its way trying to work its way out. But I've changed spark plugs in cars before and this piece wasn't there. They're like, well, I'm getting the misfire code. That's why it's not arcing. When your spark plug has nothing to arc to, it's gonna find anywhere it can arc because this is missing. It's weak and breaks off. Make sure you get all the tubes. Now, these are already pre-gapped already. You can tell that they're pre-gapped because they'll come with the sleeve. Come on, thing, come out. There, that's my sleeve right there. Oh. Spark plugs will come with this little sleeve on here to let you know that they've been pre-gapped. You can always go get you a gapping tool just to check to make sure it's within specs. I change them so much, I know it's within specs. I've done this a million times. I'm not worried about it. Get you a socket wrench, get you a 5/8, and this is a 5/8 spark plug socket. It's got like a little rubber boot down in there, so when I put it on there, it pulls the spark plug back out. I got 3 attachments because you only probably need these 2, but I get all of them because I like to stand back kind of far when I'm doing them. Get you some anti-seize, and this is what you're going to put on the back of your spark plug. Anti-seize goes on here to keep this thing from locking up. So make sure you get the anti-seize, put it on here. You won't ever break spark plugs trying to get them out. I've done this a lot. That stuff works. Trust me, it works. As I've seen people change spark plugs either way too late or they don't put anti-seize on it, and these things get heat welded in there, and it's a to get out. I almost said that word, but I know it's somebody's kids watching. Boot protector. This right here will help you from stripping your boots out. These are where your boots are right there, right here. You put them, I just rub mine either on the tip here or I just put it inside of the boot around. But what it does is it keeps it from locking on there, and you got to keep wiggling, and then you pull it and you end up breaking the boot, and then you got to go replace your whole spark plug wire or whatever. So make sure you get that. That's necessary. Okay, looking at a Jeep, you can tell which side your spark is going to be on. This is cylinder 1 because we read left from right. So on my Jeep, my cylinder 1 is on the front on the Jeep. Sometimes some vehicles on the other side, but 1 is on the front, 2 is right across. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're reading left to right. So when I come over here, I can pull all my boots off. Let me get up on my ladder. I can pull all my boots off. It doesn't make a difference because on my distributor, it tells me this is 2, this is 4, that's 6, that's 5, that's 1, that's 3. So it's going to tell you on the distributor cap which, wires goes to which cylinder. As long as you know your cylinders, this is 2, 4, 6. I can take them off. It doesn't make a difference. 2, 4, 6. I can pull them off. I don't care because I know as long as I put this back on 6, this back on 4, that back on 2, I'm good. Some people like to leave it on there until they're working because they'll be like, well, I don't want to get the wires mixed up. That's because they don't know where the cylinders are. So that's pretty much the basic setup right there. I mean, you know where your cylinders are, you got your right tools, you got, the spark plugs, you got your boots, anti-seize for your spark plugs, and you got that boot protector, that anti-seize and that boot protector. So you pretty much got everything to go. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with 2, 4, 6 because I know my 5th spark plug way in the back. I hate changing that thing, and you'll see why. All right, I got my spark plug ready to go for number 2. This is my wrench right here, so I got it down here. And for the first one, on cylinder 2, I'm using my shorty. I'm using because you got this hose and everything in the way. So I use my shorty. You don't even have to use one. I use my shorty. And on the second, on 4 and 6, I could probably go a little bit longer, but that's what I'm doing with that one. I'm just gonna pop all 3 of them out at the same time, inspect them, and then install my new ones. Okay, I got the first side out, 2, 4, 6 is out, and as you can see, this is from 1 year's worth of driving. But for me, it was, I think I did it last March when the pandemic first started. So that's about 60,000 miles worth of driving on these. I drive about 70, 80,000 miles a year. That's about 60,000 miles of driving. And these are the brand new ones. So you can see, in my opinion, it was about time to change them. These things are getting kind of, when you look inside of here, you can see they're kind of like getting thin a little bit. That's just the burn wearing them down. Because this metal does get super thin. I mean, if you can really see how it's kind of, you know, bent right there, that used to be straight like that. That was pretty much straight and it was nice and, you know, squared off. Now look at it. You can see it's getting burnt. So that's about 60,000 miles worth of driving. Today's a good day. I'm swapping them out. So now I got my anti-seize on it. You see, I just put it like around probably about halfway up, because as you screw it in, it's gonna push itself all the way up anyways. So as you can see, I probably got it about halfway up. I didn't thread it all the way through, because as soon as you start putting it in, all that stuff's gonna kind of start sliding up and it'll coat everything. So getting these things out, like I said, even after 60,000 miles of driving on these spark plugs, I had no problem getting them out at all. Because that anti-seize, you can kind of see some of it still around the tip. You see that little gray area around the tip? That's the anti-seize I put on there a long time ago. And that, all it does is just make sure it doesn't heat weld it together. And I mean, these things, you can even see some on this one too. All my old ones, they just pop right out. You give it a quick crack it and that thing slides right out, no problem. Now also, what I just did before I put my socket on them is I put some of this boot anti-seize on the ends of all of them, because I don't want it to get stuck in my socket. And trust me, it'll get stuck in your socket, because if this is dry, that's dry metal and that's dry rubber in there, it'll get stuck and it'll be hell getting this thing off while you got it in the engine. So put some on there now, put some more in the boot. Once you finish, put some more inside of that boot, and you should have enough to where it won't seize up. Like I said, I get these things off easy. And like I said, you'll see, hold on for a second, I'm gonna put this on here, show you what I mean. There, so that's how I'm gonna put it into the engine like this. You can put it in by hand or you can do whatever. I don't like touching this stuff because it gets everywhere, so I always put it inside of my socket. Then I'll put it in, turn it. I hate getting this stuff everywhere. All right, there's my 246 in, and I'm gonna grab these boots, and like I said, right inside of the rim, I'm just gonna smear some in there, because once you push this boot on, the lubricant's gonna also slide up in the boot too. So make sure you get enough all around the inside, all around the edges. Shove that thing on there, and that little metal contact way down in there should snap right on top of the spark plug. If you don't hear it snap, it should like kind of do a real slight, like, once you hear that, you're good to go to the next one. All right, that was the driver's side done. That was the right side of the engine, well, facing the engine. That's the right side of the engine. The left is a little harder because you got the battery sitting over there. You got a lot of other things in the way, so I may not videotape that side as often, but just know it's the exact same process. You're using the same thing. Whatever you got going on over there, I got a lot of electrical stuff, and you probably don't. If you do, then you know what I'm talking about. But just work your way through it. Use the socket, use your lubes, use your anti-seize. Make sure your spark plugs are gapped. You should have did that already. And you know what? Get you a torque wrench, because I know how much torque I need, but a lot of people don't. You don't have to super tighten them things down, because you could snap those off. Get them in there snug. I mean, you shouldn't use, you know, too much force to put them on there, because that's gonna be even more force getting them off. But get them things on there real snug. Lock them things on there, and you know, put that boot on and work your way to the next one. This whole job shouldn't take you more. If I wasn't recording and screwing around, shouldn't take me about 30-45 minutes, if that. And that's your tune-up. My wires are new because I got them last year, but I might, my next go round next year, I might get new wires, but these look like they're okay. Okay, now I'm on passenger side, and straight down is 1, 3, 5 way in the back there. My heater hoses are in the way, but I can move them a little bit so I can see my 5 pretty easy. I just know I don't like this one. I may, because I took my heat shields off since last year, I may be able to go right through the side fender well and see it. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Bam. Right there's my number 5. So taking all of this stuff off made a really good breeze. I love stuff like that. It just works out. So now my 5 is going to be a whole lot easier than before, just because I took my little fender wells off. All right. And then here's my 3 sitting right here, and there's my 1 in here. So my 3 and my 5 may be easier to get from the bottom than the top. But even the top's not hard, so don't even be discouraged if you have to go through the top. It's not hard. I've done it many times. It is not hard at all. So there we go. My 5 is gonna be a lot easier than yours. All right, I hate using air tools because I like my neighbors, but I'm tired of turning this thing by hand because I didn't turn my wheel that way. So I'm gonna stick my air wrench up in there, hit that socket. Here we go, right here. Put this up in here. Ah, come on, thing, go. There we go. I hate that, but I had to. I'm just tired of turning that thing. But that was number 3. See, I got 5 off and 3 off. I just had to get that, you know, air wrench up in there because if I turn my tire more, I could actually get in there and sit right here and do it all a lot easier. But I'm not doing that. Since I already did number 3, I might as well just do number 1 and get it over with. Get up here real quick. I know what it's like. Come on, thing, get in there. Get down there. There it go. Once it spins fast, once it starts spinning fast, then I know it's done. Whoops. I hate using that thing in the daytime. I'd rather use it in the garage with the door closed. Alright, here's number 1. There we go. Alright, you don't have to use an air wrench. I'm just tired because I'm recording. I probably shouldn't be recording. I should probably just get it done, but this is taking me too long already screwing with this camera. Alright, that's it. It's a done deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We out. Now, 1, 3, 5. I actually could screw them back in by hand. I didn't need my air tool, so I screwed them back in by hand as tight as I could, and then I did the manual, you know, wrench. So, you know, you don't need air tools. I do it sometimes when I'm feeling like, you know what, this is taking too long. I just go grab an air, get it out the way, and be done. So, if you want to do your own, you know, spark plug change, a little quick tune-up, you know exactly how to your wiring. We're looking dead at the engine. You got 1, 3, 5 is on your left. 2, 4, 6 is on your right because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you don't have to memorize no wiring. Your distributor cap will tell you where 2 is, so you connect 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 5 to 5. You know how to do it. So don't let nobody tell you, well, you need to leave the actual wires on just in case. No, you really don't. People say that because they don't know the wiring assignment. Once you know your engine, you know your wiring assignment. That's basically a tune-up. So, you know, once again, this is Jay Watts from Uber Jeep. Please subscribe because I'm always doing something. It could be something quick. You might, you know, want to get your son to do something, your daughter to do something. Say, hey, babe, why don't you go outside and do a tune-up on mom's Jeep? She might be like, you know what? I'm going to call some of my homegirls over. We'll do it for you. And I ain't got a couple of 12-year-olds in your garage giving you a tune-up because it's that easy.